Welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder of Ticket Time Machine. Don't forget, next Tuesday, the 27th, we will have our 100 Under 100 Awards, a night of networking in the club room. So check it out online. Follow me on LinkedIn for any information on that. Today, I'm pleased to have Veronique Pierre to the show. Welcome to the Wolff Den. How are you? I think there's a little bit of a delay here. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? We're having some technical difficulties here.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Welcome to the show. Glad.
In and
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay. We'll try and see if this works. Otherwise, we'll have to try something new here. You are the founder of Roses Without Thorns. Tell everybody a little bit about that organization and what you guys are looking to do.
Roses Without Thorns Inc. is a 501c nonprofit organization. Basically, it's underneath the umbrella of mental health, where we do a lot of community outreach, mental health awareness. My baby is working with teenage girls between the ages of 13 to 18, but I do work with all ages, both gender, male and female. So it's basically raising mental health awareness locally as well as globally.
Yeah, something that I'm pretty passionate about. I'm wearing my Same Here endurance team hat, champion mental health through Same Here, great organization. Why mental health and why children? What's the background there?
It was actually birthed from my very own experience with depression, anxiety, coming from a Caribbean background, which is Haitian descent. Both of my parents are Haitians, and then also coming from being a Christian. I didn't know anything about depression or anxiety. I went through a lot of, traumatic experience, like losing my father, my sister being murdered when I was 8 months pregnant, and then losing my mom, and then also being in a very toxic, abusive marriage. I didn't know anything about depression or anxiety until recently. And then ever since then, I wanted to raise awareness not only to the Haitian community, but as well as the Christian community, to anyone that doesn't know anything about, mental health or depression or anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, any one of those experiences is enough to send someone to a dark place and into a bad place. Did it pile up for you, and then just sort of came to a moment where you realized you had to do something?
Yes, it's basically like you go through a moment and you just put in a jar, and then you seal the jar and then you forget about it. So I basically would suppress my emotions until finally I had a mental breakdown at work. And then that's when not only my cousin, who figured I was going through depression, but also one of my coworkers, like, hey, you're going through something. And ever since then, I went through a therapist, and that's when they started explaining to me that yes, I was having a mental breakdown. It was because of depression. And ever since then, I wanted to reach back and tell everyone about it. These are the signs of depression, because sometimes you think you're just going through a dark moment. You think that, okay, I'm just having a bad day, or I'm just feeling down, or I don't want to feel like talking to anyone. I just want to be isolated. And then you realize that you're actually going through a actual depression moment. And that's when I wanted to help other people and let them know about it as well.
Yeah, and that's interesting what you say, because I think there's a couple of scenarios that people look at, and sometimes they think I'm depressed when really they might just be going through a moment, because life is up and down. It's a roller coaster. You might just be going through a moment. You might just be having a bad day. You might not be feeling well. You might be down about something, or you might be, feeling some signs of depression. I think it's important to be able to, realize what you're going through. Like I had my own story. You can read about it on the Same Here website. and I went to doctor after doctor. I wasn't eating, and at the end, and in my mind, I kind of knew I was depressed, but sort of, I don't know. I was thinking maybe it's hoping maybe it's something else because I didn't really know what to do, and a lot of people don't know what to do. So really acknowledging that you're going through something is the first step, and then trying to get help. That's no easy task, obviously, as someone who's
Mhm.
been through this. What were the signs as you were experience all this that you were kind of putting aside? I mean, did you kind of know something was going on and you just said, stuffed it or didn't want to deal with it, or was it really just a shock to you once this all came through?
It was a shock because I didn't know anything about depression or anxiety because, you know, the saying is that you always have to be a strong black woman or you have to wear your cape, you have to be a superhero. So I always wear that mask of being a strong black woman. And then, finally I realized, you know what, it's okay to feel like that you don't have it all together. It's okay to feel weak. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to feel down because I always felt like I always have to be that strong person or not show any type of weakness or any type of vulnerability. So when I would say when I had the meltdown and when I'm always a bubbly, outgoing person. I'm always like a people person, always traveling, always hanging out with people, always going to events. And then it was a period. It wasn't like just one day. It wasn't like just 1 week, but it was like I'll say months where I would go without talking to anyone, where I just would just go to work and then come home and then just lock myself in a room and didn't want to do anything, didn't want to talk to anyone, didn't want to talk to my family members, didn't want to, do the things that I love, which is traveling, hanging out. And then that's when, my cousin, she actually came to my house. She's like, hey, I'm a little semi OCD. And she's like, hey, your house is not tight as how it used to be, because you're not going out anymore. You're not coming over auntie's house anymore. What's going on? And that's when she realized, hey, you're going through depression. And then for her to pull me out of that hole, she was like, hey, let's go do the things that you love doing, which is decorating your house. So let's go to Home Goods, to buy some stuff to decorate your house. And that was when she realized it. And then the second time when I realized, okay, I was actually going through something and I need something a little bit more deeper, a more professional help, is when I had the meltdown at work when the judge, I went to court and the judge wanted to extend my divorce. She didn't want to finalize my divorce. And I just literally broke down and started crying about it. And that's when, my coworker said, hey, you're not at a good state. So you're going through something, let me go pick up your son for you. You don't have to pick him up. Let me go pick up your son. You just go home and take care of yourself. So
But
I
that's,
didn't know
I mean,
anything about it. It was just little, people that, I'm sorry,
yeah, I was going to say that type of
I didn't hear you, Matt.
experience
What was
could,
that?
that type of experience could force
You're
anyone
coming in and out.
to break down regardless of what had happened before. So it's like for me, when I didn't want to eat, which I love to eat, and I didn't want to go to events and go see my family, that's when I knew I needed help. And it was, I denied for so long because you don't, you know, you don't want to be that person who needs to go see a psychiatrist and maybe possibly go on medication because that's, I don't know why, if I was so afraid to do it. To me, the medicine did the heavy lifting, and that works for some people, but some people it doesn't, and there's other things that they need to do. But it's just about asking for help, and I've never really been shy to ask people for help, but for some reason, this is something that
Mhm.
people just don't like to ask for help.
Correct. And I think that's especially now when you do ask people for help, they when you're always the go-to person, and then when you finally the one that needs the help, it's hard for people to sometimes accept that. Like, hey, you always have it all together. You always the person that I look up to if I need something, or I'll reach out to you if I need help. So it's kind of hard for some, I think, for help because there's been plenty of times when I do reach out to people, say, hey, I need help. And they will give me, like, what? You need help? Like they're shocked. Like, you need help. And sometimes they will help you. They're glad to help you. Like, wow, like I feel honored to help you. So yes, I'll definitely help you. So it's just, it's kind of hard, to be vulnerable and to ask people for help. But and it's kind of some people will help you and some people won't. And then the people that don't help you, sometimes you get disappointed because, like, wow, like I'm always helping you, and the moment that I actually need help, you're not helping me. So it's sometimes, it's give and take. So it depends on the situation. So yeah, some people are comfortable with it, some people are not.
Yeah, and we were at the time, or are, high functioning adults going through this. So now imagine you're a child, you're a teenager who's got a whole, I mean, the world today, back when we grew up, there were problems, and now there's even more problems. So imagine you're a teenager who's going through some stuff, where do you turn? And so that's where Roses Without Thorns comes in. How do we get children to realize that it's okay that they're going through stuff and that there's resources for them? Because a teenager goes to another teenager, they're probably not going to understand what they're going through. So, right, maybe not able to go through their friends. Your parents, I don't have kids, but I assume the same way. There's just stuff you don't want to talk to with your parents. Teachers, you probably don't feel comfortable. Who knows? So how do we get them to understand that there's resources out there and that it is okay to be going through stuff? And I always say, no matter what's going through, whether it was mental health or something else, there's very few people in this world who have a unique situation that nobody else is going through. And that should give people comfort that there's others going through this, and that you can either connect with or realize that they found a way to get through it, or to I say the word survive, but however you want to look at it.
I think for teenagers, you have to put yourself sometimes when you were a teenager, when you're going through your hormones, when you're going through identity crisis, when you're trying to fit in with the crowd, or you're trying to figure out who you are. You have to put yourself when you were a teenager at a point when you're trying to figure out, how to navigate being, a child. So with me, growing up, one of the things that I wanted was a safe place. So I think that's one of the things I try to have for the kids, is to have a safe place where they can actually come to me and talk to me about anything, as well as, be able to guide them, like to let them know, hey, you're able to talk to me about anything, but as well as that, I'm going to hold you accountable for certain situations. I'm going to also try to make sure I guide you and give you as much support and help that you need, to navigate what you're going through. And if it's something that's, a little bit more deeper, because again, I'm not a licensed psychiatrist or psychologist or a therapist as of yet. But, if it's something deeper where they need something a little bit more extreme, then I will refer them to either a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist. But if it's like a first response where they need, self-confidence, to help boost their self-confidence, help, boost their self-esteem, to help them with personal development, that's where the areas that I usually focus on and try to help them as much as possible.
So how do you guys operate? What's the process if someone reaches out to you?
The number one process is that I want to be able to, have an open door policy where they can talk to me about anything. I want to be like their big sister or their mentor, where I can guide them, to be able to first let them express themselves, what they're going through. After listening to what they're going through, then that's when I take the initiative steps of what needs to be done. Either they just need a listening ear, or they need me to point them somewhere where they need help somewhere else, or I'll give them a plan. Okay, this is the steps that you need to take, and these are the steps that you need to follow. So it depends on the situation. It depends if it's just a listening ear, or if it's just something, hey, I need help with this, can you help me? If I can't help you, okay, don't worry about it, I'll get you someone to help you. Or I need help with this, I don't understand this, can you help me? Okay, these are the steps that you need to take in order to help you. So it really depends on what the situation is and what they're reaching out to me for.
And is there a physical place that people go to, or is this just virtual? How does that work?
It's either over the phone or virtual as of right now. There's no physical place as of yet. If I do have anything, I usually have events, and it's more geared toward like older, not for teenage kids, but it's more geared to like older adults, like younger to older adults.
And what type of events are those?
It's different type of self-care events that I have. The one that I usually have is like the fashion show. That's my number one thing, is to help them, to let them know everyone is beautiful, regardless of your state, your age, your size, your color, whatever. Everyone is beautiful, no matter what. You are a beautiful rose. So I do have like a personal development fashion show where I have different ages, different sizes, different heights, where it's not where you just actually looking at someone like an Instagram model or someone on a magazine. I want everyone to feel comfortable. So that's one of the things that I do have every year, that I started actually last year, what I'm going to be doing every year, which I started last year, which is a personal development fashion show. And then I do have other like similar to this, but it's not a podcast, but other like, webinars, or I'll go live with other people to have like some type of educational live where they can talk about different things about mental health, relationship, faith, different things like that, to be able to help people to, I guess, get more understanding in regards to mental health. Or I have other people that actually are, psychiatrists or psychologists, where they're coming and they start, or people that are either like a male or someone that I know that they'll come in and listen to, and I'll have, different type of events where people can talk about mental health and relationships and, their beliefs and stuff like that.
Right. This is something that grew out of self-experience for you. What was your background before all of this?
Before this, I was working for a wound physician. I was a client relationship manager. And then prior to that, I was a team lead for a university for military financial aid. So I was basically in the management field.
Yeah. A lot of customer service, a lot of dealing with people and helping them through, the process, which is obviously helpful with this. What's the future like? I mean, we look 3 years, 2 years, 3 years down, 5 years. How does Roses Without Thorns grow, and what will they be doing?
Well, my dream is to have a brick and mortar, which is a facility for troubled teens between ages of 13 to 18, where they will have a facility where they can come in. Either it will be educational, or something where they can just come in and just have something where they can help, troubled teen or at-risk teens. So that's my goal. That's the thing that I want to work on, is try to open up a facility for at-risk or troubled teens between the ages of 13 to 18.
How does that happen? Obviously, you need money to do that. How do you get money for something like this to then move it to build?
I'm working on that. I'm trying to figure that out as we speak. I'm trying to figure out how I'm able to get the money to be able to open up the facility. But that's the number one thing that I would love to work on, is I've been dreaming about it for longest. So I'm starting with this, and then hopefully I will have a facility for the troubled teens.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like this I've seen around the U.S. I don't know, maybe even in South Florida. But it feels like by the time someone gets to that spot, they're in a really bad place, maybe trouble with the law, maybe they've run away, is this something that would probably be, before you get to that point, sort of to avoid? That's what we kind of want to talk about with Same Here, is it's the 1 in 5, hashtag 5 in 5 is what we talk about. 1 in 5 is the people who have the mental a mental illness. And then the 5 in 5 is everyone's dealing with something, and we try and keep the conversation moving forward so we can help people before they kind of get to that. Is that sort of the thought process of what you're trying to do, is to help people before they get to that point where it's never too late, but it's, there's just other factors, again, get trouble with the law or running away, stuff like that?
I want to be able to help both. I want to be able to help people before they actually get into something serious trouble. And I also want to be able to help people that actually get into serious trouble as well, where they can be able to get the guidance that they need to be able to help them. I know I'm not going to be able to save everybody, but I definitely want to be able to help both. Where, another thing that I wanted to do is get into like a partnership with, different high schools where if they were to get suspended or, they go through my program and instead of them getting 10 days suspension, it'll be shortened to like probably 5 days going through my program because they will get, the guidance and the support that they need to prevent that from continuing. Like if someone that's constantly getting into trouble, they go through my program and it'll lessen their suspension. So that's something that I do want to do is, help people that are actually, before it gets serious. And if it does get serious, they go through my program and, it helps them to make sure that it doesn't continue on.
Can you talk about the first time you were able to help someone and the feeling that brought to you and sort of how that all worked?
The first time that I was able to help someone was someone who was actually going through a divorce, and she didn't know the steps of what to do. And I basically explained to her that she would have to make an exit plan about, what she's going to do before you actually go through a divorce. Because I didn't know anything what to do. And, sometimes you go through a really hard time trying to transition. I'm still trying to transition as we speak. But I didn't know anything about being a transition from being a married, mother of three to now being a single mother of three. So trying to navigate that and able to explain to her what she needs to do to make sure she takes the proper steps, so she doesn't go through the things that I went through. Make sure she's in communication with her attorney. Make sure that she's in communication if she needs to have, a restraining order or, things like that, to be able to help that person. Because a lot of times when people look at me, they're like, oh, you don't look like what you've been through. And, to be able to help someone and them not looking at the outer appearance and to be able to take actually the information that I'm giving them and them feeling better about themselves, to be able to feel better, to be able to talk to me about it, that makes me feel good. Regardless if it's someone, that reaches out to me, it makes me feel good to help that person and to be like, okay, I know someone that's a doctor and they can help you. So that person was able to reach out to me. I'll be able to help them with their confidence. I'll be able to help them to be able to be more motivated. And then when she say, hey, I need someone to talk to. I need a therapist. Do you recommend someone that I can talk to? I recommended her to my therapist. And I say, hey, you can reach out to him and he can help you. And that makes me feel good, when people reach out to me and ask me for help. So that makes me feels really good when they trust me to be able to tell me their darkest secret and they're able to actually follow through with the steps that I give to them.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, to come forward and ask for help. And I think what people don't realize is there's so many people around you. And I guess, look, I'll say this. I feel very fortunate. I have so many people around me who wanted to help, and not everyone knows what to do. But there are people who want to help. And there's people who don't even know you who want to help. Mm-hmm. People like you and people like me who, if anyone came into our world needing the help, we'd try and do it ourselves or try and help them get to somewhere else. But again, we're talking about younger people, you're talking about teenagers, and that becomes a more difficult thing. What do you think the most important thing is as we're trying to teach everyone, really everyone, but definitely the younger people, that it's okay to not be okay, as they say, or you need to, if something's going on, you need to talk about it and ask for help. I don't know what I would have done if what I went through happened when I was younger. I mean, obviously I had my moments. You're a kid, you don't always get what you want, but to really be in a full-blown depression and you're 14 years old and you gotta perform, you gotta go to school, and maybe you're you have friends who are counting on you. What's the biggest thing that we can share with the younger people out there to let them know?
You stated it's okay to not to be okay. That's the number one thing that you should be able to let someone know. It's okay to not be okay, because a lot of times the younger generations feels like we don't know how they feel. Like, you don't understand. You have never been through what I've been through. You don't understand what I'm going through. So a lot of times they feel like we don't understand. We don't know, but we have to be able to let them know that, hey, I may not know what you're going through, but I was a child before, and it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to, say no to certain things. It's okay not to, fall into peer pressure. It's okay to have a mind of your own. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not fit in with the crowd. So we have to be able to, let them know that, to help them with their confidence, because a lot of times they're lacking confidence, they're lacking self-esteem, and we have to be able to help boost up their confidence, so therefore they can, be able to make decisions on their own and not fall into depression, or not fall into a victim of making the wrong choices. So that's when you said it yourself, is okay not to be okay.
You're a mom of three kids. I don't know
Yeah.
how old they are, but they're children who are growing up and dealing with a lot of the same stuff. Do they know much about what you're doing with Roses Without Thorns, and how do you make sure that they're not going through stuff, that they're not talking about?
Then, well, my two oldest kids, they actually did go through it, to be honest, because, going through the divorce, I was with my ex-husband for 23 years, and going through divorce, my oldest one, she's a little bit stronger. She does go to therapy and get counseling. My second one also went through therapy, but my second one's a little bit, more attached to her dad. So it kind of hit her a little bit more. And I guess plus she's the middle child as well. So it kind of hit her a little bit more. But thank God she's in a better place right now. She's in the army. So she's in a better place. And then my oldest one is also, she's in college in Gainesville. So they do have, one of the things that I do love about my girls is that even though we went through a period of, figuring things out and going through depression, going through anxiety, they're very open with me. Even my 8-year-old son, like, I don't know anything about being a man, and he's 8 years old, and he asks us a lot of questions like, Mom, what does this mean? Like, why do I feel this way? And I try to answer it the best that I can. And even if I don't know how to answer it, I say, mommy's not a boy, mommy's not a man, but I'm gonna try to answer for you. If I can't answer for you, I will get one of my male cousins on the phone and say, hey, he asked me this question. I don't know what this means. Can you explain it to him? So that's one of the things I love about my kids. They're very open with me. They ask me a lot of questions. They look up to me. And if I don't know it, they definitely will talk to a psychiatrist about it to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So that's one of the things I really do love about my kids. It was a period of hard time at the beginning of divorce, but now they're actually at a very good point in their life where they're doing really good. So I'm grateful for that.
She's a smart girl. If she's in Gainesville, that's why we're orange and blue everywhere here. So
Yes.
of Gainesville. I would say, what was the most challenging, or what is the most challenging thing that you're finding as you're trying to scale Roses Without Thorns?
The most challenging thing is that right now I'm trying to organize my board member. I do have people that are helping me, but to find a solid team, because everything's usually on me. I'm like a one-woman army. So I think be able to have people to, delegate some of the responsibilities where I'm not doing everything. And then number two is funding, to make sure that I can do my mission, because you are going to need funding to be able to do the things that you want to do and be able to reach the people that you want to reach, and to be able to implement certain type of, processes. So I think those are the number two things that I'm trying to work on, is the funding, and then, making sure I have a solid team to be able to delegate some of the responsibility, because I do want to do a lot of things, but I can't just do it by myself because I get burned out. So I can't do it all by myself.
How close are you to getting this to where you want it to be relative to where you started? Or
I I came a long way. I think again, the only two things that I need to work on, because I think I did pretty good by myself. Because a lot of people know about Roses Without Thorns. I'm also an author. I have, my first book is The Strongest Woman in the World Is You. And then I also have a t-shirt line, which is Jesus Plus Therapy. So I do a lot of things, trying to navigate being an author, trying to sell my books, and then trying to promote my t-shirt line, and then also trying to do my nonprofit organization. I think right now, my number one focus is basically, okay, what can I just focus mainly on and try to delegate some of the responsibility with that field, and then try to also generate funding for that organization or that business or that mission that I'm trying to do, because everything is underneath the umbrella of mental health, the t-shirt, the book, and the nonprofit. So trying to either combine everything together or keep it separate and try to figure out what should I focus on more now.
Yeah, the book you mentioned, The Strongest Woman in the World Is You, 21 Days of Mental Healing. You can find it on Amazon.
Yes.
If you're interested in taking a look. What was that like, writing a book?
It was therapy. That was therapy for me because it gives you different, if you actually purchase the book, it gives you different types of techniques, coping techniques, different Bible verses, different things that you can do to help you with depression and anxiety. So again, I wanted to be able to have something like a little guide for someone that's going through depression, anxiety. So they'll be able to, this will be a starter, a starter kit where it can help you. Okay, these are the things that I can do. These are the Bible verses I can read to help me with what I'm going through, to help calm me down, to help me with my depression or the steps that I need to take. So it was therapy for me. I felt really good about it because, these are some of the things that I did, that I implemented with my own life to help me with what I was going through. And I wanted to be able to have something for someone else as well to help them what they're going through.
Yeah, I think, writing a book is, I think we've all thought about writing a book, but just the idea of putting pen to paper or on the computer becomes pretty difficult. But any thoughts on what another book might be, or what the next step with that is with the book?
I do have a thought, but it's not concrete yet. But I do have a thought what I want to write about. It's more going to be a little bit more personal. I don't know if I want to do a bio or a documentary, but I do have, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much that you've been through, as we mentioned earlier. Any one of that stuff, any one of those events occurring to you could have put you into a dark place. How does that help you go through whatever the next thing is? Everything that you've been through, experience-wise, and then what you've been through with the mental health and depression and getting through with it. How does that help you with the next roadblock?
I think with that, when you've been through a traumatic experience in life, you're always going to have some type of trigger points. Something's going to find a way to trigger you. So I think with that, if anything does trigger me, I usually write it down, and usually write the date or, what triggered me, and how would I be able to overcome that trigger. So I think that's one of the things that that's also in my book. One of the things that helps me, if something triggers me, I try to figure, okay, this is what triggered me. And this is the reason why I felt that way, because of, something happened to me in the past and it brought back the same emotions or the same feelings. And what did I do last time, to help me overcome that feeling? Before, when I used to talk to my therapist, I would explain to him and he would explain to me what needs to be done. So I think those are one of the things that help me with if there's any roadblock. I remember what triggered me, why did it trigger me, and how I can overcome anything that gives me that feeling all over again.
Yeah, we talked to a gentleman named Ryan Nurse, who it was one of the earlier episodes, had a major case of depression, almost to the point where he's going to end his life. And he got out of it with gratitude. No medication, just gratitude. As I mentioned, medication did the heavy lifting, but I always had the sense that everything was going to be okay. It's a sort of a faith I have. It's not a religious thing. It's just a belief that I have that everything's going to be okay. You talk about faith and how important that is to you. Why is that so important to you, and how has that helped you with yourself and then also with helping others?
I think with me having a relationship with Jesus Christ, it helped me because I've been through a lot, and I think I'm grateful that I never been suicidal or to the point where I feel like I wanted to end my life. And I think having that relationship with Christ, it helped me feel a little bit more safe. Even if my life was upside down, I always knew that I was going to be taken care of. I always knew that God was going to provide. It's just a moment like, okay, you're just going through a phase. You're going through a bad day, or you're going through a bad week, or something is going on, but don't worry, because I have that relationship. My father's going to always take care of me. My father's always going to have my back. So having that relationship, it just makes things, it gives you that inner peace. It just gives you that inner peace where you don't care about, I don't know if you ever seen a picture where like you're in a boat and there's sharks, swimming around the boat, but you're at peace because you feel like nothing's going to happen to you. So that's the way I feel, having that relationship with Christ. And that's what my t-shirt is about, which is Jesus plus therapy. Because now that I have Christ, which is the physician, he's always going to make sure that, if there's a wound, he's going to always make sure that, I'm properly taken care of, that the scar is taken care of. But then having therapy, which is the recovery process, they're going to make sure that I heal properly. So I think I know everyone's not religious, but me having that personal relationship and having when things really did get bad, um, I encounter Christ. God actually came to me. He's the one that encouraged me to write the book. A lot of events happen in my life where I know that Jesus is real, and if anything does happen, I'm at peace. Like I'm literally at peace. Like I don't care what happens. I'm not saying I don't care, but I'm not easily. I'll say I'm not easy to the point where I may have a moment of depression. I may feel down. I may feel sad about the situation, but I'm not going to be stuck there, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Because I have faith that everything's going to work out.
Yeah, I have faith too. It's not not a religious thing. It's not a Jesus thing. I'm Jewish, although I've heard Jesus was Jewish too. So, but that's for a whole nother chat. Where can we find the Jesus Plus Therapy clothing?
Right now, you can actually send me a message through either Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, or you can contact me. The website, which is under construction, is www.ycwroyalty.com. That's where you can actually go ahead and purchase the t-shirt, but it is under construction right now. Or you can actually send me a message to purchase the t-shirt.
Yeah, so we'll say Instagram is probably the best way to find you, right?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Everything is Veronique Pierre.
Okay, well that's where we can find the t-shirt information. You can go to Amazon and get the book. Remember, Strongest Woman in the World is You. I actually forgot. It had been a while since I did a Wolff Den episode, and I forgot to ask my last guest the final question that we let every guest out on. 315. This is the 315th episode, and last episode was the only time I didn't get to ask this question. So I'm going to make sure that I ask it to you. You could spend 24 hours with anybody in the world. They have to be alive, and you can't be related to them. Who would you choose, and what would you guys do?
Beyonce.
Beyonce. Love it. I got to go through a list to see if she's ever been. She's definitely had good things said. It's a great choice. What would you like to do with Beyonce?
I would love to pick her brain because I just feel like she's done so much amazing things, and she's just phenomenal. She's a genius to me, and she paved the way for a lot of people, and I just would love to like sit with her and just like ask her about some business plans. Like, hey, this is what I'm planning to do. What do you think? Like, what do you think is the best way for me to run this business? What do you think is the best way for me to do certain things? Because I feel like she's just a genius. Whatever she touches, it turns into gold. So I would love to have 24 hours just to pick her brain and figure out what are the things that I would need to do to get my business to where she's at, a billionaire stylist. So
I like her older stuff more than I like her newer stuff, and I'm told she's going to put out a country album. I do like country, so it'd be interesting to see what that is. And obviously, what do you think about Jay-Z throwing shade at the Grammys for in the middle of the speech?
He's her husband. So as I would love for my spouse to feel that way about me too. Like I deserve everything and everything. So I thought it was romantic. I love both artists. They're both unique in their own different ways. But I would love for my spouse to say, hey, my wife deserves everything on the list. She's been working hard because he's with her 24/7. He knows that she's I watched the documentary, and I was able to see how he was actually behind the scene, in the room waiting for her while she's performing. Her kids were there while she's performing. She gets off the stage and she goes to her kids, kiss her kids, and go back on the stage and do it all over again. So he sees the sweat, the blood, the tears, the cries. He sees everything. So he probably feels like she deserved everything because I'm there seeing her being a wife, a mother, a business person, an artist, a singer, everything. So he sees everything. The ugly side, the good side, the beauty, he sees it all. So he probably feels like, hey, yeah, she deserves it. She busts her tail for it, so she definitely deserves it. So if my spouse is that way, I would love him to feel the same way.
I agree. Beyonce would be great to hang out with. Have you ever seen her live?
I did. It was I went to her concert like probably in my early 20s. I went to one of her concerts. She was here in Miami. And I think it was my early 20s. But I was like in like all the way in the very top. I would like to be in the front row center, like to be able to touch her.
I got to see her perform with Jay-Z at the Dolphins Stadium. But this has got to be, it could be a decade ago. I'm thinking. Yes. It was a while ago. Would love to see her again. Great choice. Great to chat with you. Mm-hmm. I love what you're doing. We're big supporters of mental health. And so check out roseswithoutthornsinc.org. Get the book on Amazon, Strongest Woman in the World Is You. Reach out to Veronique on Instagram or LinkedIn if you want some more information about Jesus Plus Therapy apparel. And look forward to hearing what's next and how you guys progress, and happy to help any way I can along the way. And we got more Wolff.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. We got more Wolff Den coming next week, so stay tuned. Have a great night. Do something good and helpful, and don't forget to tune in next Tuesday. 100 under 100. We're going to recognize 100 people for being good and doing good, voted by the peers, no cost to anything. You don't have to pay to get an award, and looking forward to celebrate and network with everyone out there. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.